Hi, everyone. It's Rax, and Merry Christmas. Thank you so much for all the people that have supported this channel. You guys mean a lot to me, so I hope you're having an absolutely amazing day. I have a lovely video to bring you today. This is going to be the Witch Minion Endgame build. And when I made the leveling guide, I was very proud of the fact that I beat the campaign without dying. Well, now I have cleared all the way up to tier 17 maps with level 6 Delirium inside of the tier 17 maps. And I did my 4th Ascendancy, and guess what? I still have not died. I have 0 deaths. I'm almost level 90. And my character was made for less than 3 divines for all of the gear. And it actually would have been probably less than 2 divines if I hadn't put some rarity on my gear, because rarity is like super overpowered. If grinding gear games doesn't fix it, I'll make a video about it. Anyway, I think this is a T16 map, and as you can see, I just roll along here. I have 7,000 energy shield, and I have they also have to get through my mana, because my mana is also like another life bar for me. And then they have to get through my life, so they have to do like 9,000 total damage to kill me. It's like Dragon Ball Z. It's got to be over 9,000 to kill me, which is why I haven't died. And really, at least all the way up to T15, including the final boss of what I like to call, it's called Trial of the Sekimas, but I call it the Trial of Suck My Ass. Anyway, on the final boss, I think I killed him in, I don't know, 15 seconds, just dead. So this build is god tier for beginners. It's essentially a 1-button build. You just essentially cast Flame Wall. It's very similar to the leveling guide. If you're looking for a build that can clear at least 99% of the content in the game without dying, pressing 1 button on a budget, this is the build for you. So just wanted to show you some gameplay here, and let's jump in and understand how the build works. I got a full planner here for you. So, Skeletal Warriors. Okay, so before I talk about the skills here, let's understand something. So, 2 of our minions will be for damage. The ones for damage are the Arsonists and the Raging Spirits. The Arsonists and the Raging Spirits do our damage. Everything else is just to support them. Must understand that. The Hellhound, or the Infernal Hound, just here to support us. The Warriors, just there to tank and apply debuffs. The Clerics are just there to help us revive and just stay alive. And the Storm Mages are just there to apply shock, so the Raging Spirits and the Arsonists do damage. It is important to understand that although we spam Flame Wall, it is only spammed to summon the Raging Spirits and to buff the Arsonists. This also doesn't do any damage, which is the skill that we're spamming. Okay. So with that in mind, the Arsonists, I think, are still pretty much the best thing that I've seen. One comment that I should make is you can also implement, people were talking about it, a sniper or multiple snipers into your build, because they have the ability that for Gas Arrow, which is very strong against elites or bosses. I didn't do this. And the reason why I didn't is, well, first of all, when I tried it, it didn't seem so great, but I should have tried it when I had the better gear. But also, the elites and the bosses were just dying instantly. So I didn't feel the need to complicate things and add another button to the build. But that's something that you can do later. Anyway, the Arsonists throw bombs, and when the bombs cross your flame wall, they do more damage. Everything that we're going to put here is going to make them do damage. So Scattershot is going to give them 2 extra projectiles. Martial Tempo makes them attack faster. Fire Infusion gives them more damage as fire. And Heft, as we talked about if you watched the previous videos, it works very, very well for them. I guess it makes more sense for the Arsonists than it did for the Ranger. But these are going to make them do insane damage. So then we have Raging Spirits. This is going to be the same thing that we've been doing in the leveling guide. We spam Flame Wall and it puts the Raging Spirits up. Now there are 2 ways that you can build this. You can build this to where they have a shitload of life and then you purposely kill them to explode and do a ton of damage. Or you can just make them do a ton of damage, which is what I chose to do. But another way you could do it is building up life as much as you possibly can and detonate them. Since I'm keeping them alive and constantly resummoning them, Feeding Frenzy, Fire Pen, Execute, and Elemental Focus are just going to make them do more damage. The Arsonists do more damage than your Raging Spirits, so we try to give them the best possible supports. But all 8 of these are just for more damage for our top 2 abilities. Flame Wall, we want to spam it everywhere because it summons our Raging Spirits, and it makes the Arsonists do more damage as their projectiles pass over it. So Fortress makes it spawn in a circle, Arcane Tempo casts it faster, and then Spell Cascade puts 3 of them, which is why you just see the whole screen filled with fire. And that's also why you can't see anything during boss fights, which is why we need Grinding Gear games to implement a mode where we can actually see the ground again. If you get a 4th slot here, Inspiration makes it really cheap, and this is almost the only, this is, like I said, pretty much a 1-button build. You're just spamming this all the time to get a lot more damage. The Hellhound from our Ascendancy, which you get in your first, after you complete your first Ascension trial, is just here to support us. So we give it Meat Shield, so it does less damage but stays alive. Fire Exposure is going to help our other skills do more damage. Strip Away is going to make that exposure stronger for more damage. And Elemental Army is just going to keep him alive. Same thing with the Warriors, and it's way better if you can get the Warriors from your weapon, which is why Rattling Scepters are usually a lot better than the other ones. Blind, Cull, Maim, and Splinter are just supporty things for ourselves and the minions. So Blind is going to give Blind. I think that lowers their accuracy. Oop, let's see here. Yep, lowers their accuracy. Cull kills them at certain thresholds. Maim slows them, and we're going to try to just break their armor for more damage. The Cleric is here to just heal our minions and revive them, just to keep them alive. A lot of people said that they would run multiple Clerics, but I didn't do that. I just ran one, and everything seemed fine. Probably depends on your gear level. It probably depends on how far you are into the game. But try one at the beginning, and then if they're constantly dead, then maybe you go 2. Last Gasp just keeps them alive, and Ingenuity lowers their cooldown rate. The Storm Mage is only here to apply Shock. Shock is going to give more damage to everything else. Everything that we're doing is just supporting these top 2 things. So, more chance to shock, higher magnitude of shock, and the shocks never expire on igniting targets, which they will be ignited. Sounds really good. Pain Offering is what we throw down. We sacrifice a minion in order to give them massive attack speed and damage. Cast it by your minions. It's going to give Expanse is going to give it more area of effect and more duration. Flammability, this is what we curse with rares and bosses that don't die in 2 seconds, which is like pretty much nothing. Magnified Effect and Heightened Curse is just going to lower their fire resist massively. Grim Feast is super, super, super good. You absolutely want this. And what it's going to do, it's going to give you massive energy shield. Did you see this is going to spawn little orb thingy bobs on the ground after you kill monsters? Pick them up. Did you see how I only had 3.8k energy shield, but I actually had double that, 7.6k? That's because of Grim Feast. It's amazing. Don't need to support it with anything, because when you support it with other stuff, it costs spirit. And we want to use spirit for the minions. So only support it with something like Clarity if you don't have enough spirit to summon a different minion. Then Shield Charge, I just put this here only for the 4th lab, but this is very helpful for the 4th lab, and we're already wearing a shield. So that's why that's there. Let's talk about the gearing. And the gearing for this particular build is pretty particular. So this is a part of the build. This is a part of the guide you're going to want to pay attention on. So I think I put it over here in the notes, actually. The best thing you can do, it's kind of like a common theme I've noticed from Grinding Gear games, is anything with minions or with spells, the levels are insanely important. They get way stronger when they get more levels. So minion levels will be better than spirit, which is getting more minions, is better than anything else. So the main idea you want to have in when you're doing this is minion levels over spirit over anything else. So where do you get minion levels? You get minion levels on your weapon. You can get them on your hat, and you can get them on your amulet. And I believe those are the only places where you can get them. If you're really poor, like I was, then you probably can't, there's no way you can afford like +5 to all minion skill levels. You might have to do a 4 or a 3. You might only have to do +1 on the hat, and maybe only +1 or 2 on the amulet. But this is something you cannot skip. And it's the first thing that you should buy in the trade. And I'll show you a quick demo of how I would do that. Spirit can also be on your scepter, on your chest, and on your amulet. That lets you get up all of these minions. It's super important. And this unique, you'd be like, Rax, why do you have a unique in your build? This unique costs nothing. I'm actually showing you a super cheap option. If you want, you can get a yellow shield or whatever, but this one's really cheap and has 50 spirit on the shield. That's why it's here. And then the rest of it, our defense is going to be energy shield. So energy shield, as high as you can get it on the robe, on the hat, on the gloves, on the boots, is very good. And then other than that, it's pretty much all the usual suspects. Life, mana, resistances, chaos res. You need to make sure that you have really good fire res and chaos res from this node in your Ascendancy. You're converting some damage to fire, and you're converting physical to chaos. So if you have good chaos res and good fire res, that's very strong, which is why you saw me put fire and chaos on this body armor. Life is good, so you do want to get some amount of life on your gear. But it's not like as important as it is on other builds because we're stacking up our energy shield. We only need enough life to do these reservations right here. You see that my life was cut in half in the game. So that's kind of the strategy. And I just noticed I haven't even put a socket in these yet. I'll put one in. But yeah. So anyway, the scepter. Minion skills first. Try to get one with spirit, and it needs to be a rattling scepter. Don't get a different base unless you really want to, and then you're might have to resort to some skelly warriors if you want them. So rattling scepter, minion skill levels, then spirit, and then the other good things would be like increased damage and attack speed and life and stuff like that. The chest piece, go for spirit, chaos res, fire res, and try to get an energy shield base. The hat has minion skills, energy shield, chaos res, you get the idea. Spirit and minion levels on the amulet. The anointment, I explained this last time. In Path of Exile, you can choose a single notable anywhere, whatever, this one, or not that one, this one, or this one, or that one, or whatever, and you can place it permanently on your amulet. The one that I would recommend is Flashy Deflection. Not because it's the greatest thing ever, but because it's very cheap. It's good and it's cheap. Gives you 12% increased block chance. This build gets to wear a shield, and shields are great because of block. And block gives you a chance to just take 0 damage from strikes and projectiles. So we'll actually use this to our advantage and do some block stuff on the tree later on. So if you don't know how to anoint, I'm going to show you in 2 seconds. So I have no idea what I'm talking about. Flashy Deflection is somewhere over here. Here it is. You see how it's glowing for me, and I don't, yeah, there's no way I could path over here. You hold Alt, it says you need Greed, Guilt, Greed. So those are things that you get from Delirium in the Endgame, and it's not expensive. So you might already have it if you have the Delirium tab. Greed, and then Guilt, and then greed. So we grab these, then you right click them. If not, they're cheap on the auction house. Greed. Make sure you get the correct order. Guilt, greed, and then you put an amulet in there. If you instilled this, I guess it's called instilling instead of anointing in PoE 2. It's called anointing in PoE 1. Then you would get flashy deflection. If you change the order, you would get nothing. And if you did this, you would get heavy ammunition. That actually seems like a pretty damn good one, actually. Okay. So that's what anointing is if you have no idea what I was talking about. This shield is cheap. It's got spirit on it. It's got chaos res on it. That's about it. That's why we are going for it here on the minion build. The rings are a great way to get all of your resistances and life and mana. On the gloves, energy shield, life, resistances, just some basic stuff. On your belt, life and resistances. Right now, rarity of items is really broken. I'm expecting Grinding Gear Games to either completely remove it or to change it once they're back in the office, which is why I haven't really been recommending it, because I think it's going to go bye-bye real fast. In the event that doesn't happen, I'll make a build on it or I'll make a video on it, but go ahead and stack rarity, whatever you can get it, but it makes everything a lot more expensive. On the boots, movement speed, energy shield, resistances. If you can't get energy shield, you can get life for mana. Just kind of the obvious things. Charm, definitely use a golden charm for rarity. And then the flasks are always the same. I like applied instantly and gain charges per second, and applied instantly and gain charges per second. Okay, so that's the gear. So let's do our favorite thing here. And let me guess, it's going to ask me to log in. Yep. Let me log in real quick. I'm just going to show you for 2 seconds, as fast as I possibly can, how you can buy the stuff for cheap. Okay. So I think you can figure out the shield. Just type in the name of the shield. Let's look at the scepter. So the scepter, we want it to be rattling. A rattling scepter. And then remember, the most important thing is minion skill level. So maybe get like at least 3. And then it would be super nice if it also had spirit, but this might already be too expensive. Let's say, I don't know, you only have 7 exalts. Pick a random number, search. Okay, you can do it. So maybe there's one with 4. There is none with 4 for this cheap. So then since they all have 3, then why don't we search for the most spirit? So this has 39 spirit and 3 doll minions for 5 exalts. That's beautiful. If you're really poor, you can go here and get the 1 for 1 exalt. The flat damage is good. Attack speed is really good. So maybe we can add let's do minion. I put the squiggly in front to say kinda, so I can just type random things and hopefully it's going to find out what I want. That's not what I want. I want ally. See, I already messed up. Ally at increased attack speed. There we go. Anything like that? Yes, 35 of them have all 3. Beautiful. Okay, let's sort by the most spirit. Flat damage, 9 attack speed, 3 to all skills, and 34 spirit. Pretty good, pretty good. This is pretty chonky. 103 mana. That's not bad. That's nothing to see. That 15% attack speed. That's a lot. Okay. So a lot of these are pretty good. Beware of the required level, though. If you're only level 70, for example, search. Okay, then now there's only 10. So this is how you would buy your scepter. And then let's say we want to buy the robe. Okay, clear. Well, we want a body armor. We want the energy shield to be, let's say, 80. I want it to have spirit, and I want a lot of spirit here. You cannot play around here, so at least 50. And then let's say that you want a count, and you want one or the other. You either want, let's say you're really low on your fire resistance, for example. Or let's say you're low on your chaos res, and let's say you want it to be pretty chonky. You want at least 20 here or 15 on the chaos. Let's make it even strict. Let's say 25. And then, so we want energy shield with the spirit on the chest. with one of these two important resistances, and let's say we can only spend 5 exalts. Is that a thing? There's 2,164 matched. Okay, so maybe we can be a little bit picky. Do any of them have both of these? Count 2. Boom. 17 of them have, that's my favorite number from Druids in Diablo 4. 17 of them have Chonky Spirit, pretty good energy shield. I guess we set the energy shield maybe too low for the thing. Look at this chest piece. Big energy shield, big spirit, fire, chaos res. 5 exalts. Okay? You can mess around with it, whatever, just to show you. And then the helmet and the amulet do the same thing. You'd search more importantly for the, let's do one more. Let's do the amulet. Okay, so we go here, show filters. I want it to be an amulet. Okay, the most important is the minion skills. Let's see if we can go big. Let's see if we can get 2 of them. And let's say let's just only put that. And let's put the max at 5 exalts. Does this exist? 68 of them. Okay. Then I mean, there's no way. There's no way this is real. 30 life, 117 life, energy shield, 2 to all skills, and 30 int for 1 exalt. Very hard to believe. You got to buy that. I mean, it sounds like a debate, but I mean, look at this one. 134 life, mana, 2 to all skills. I mean, maybe you just go, but maybe not. Maybe they're all like trying to trick you. Okay, you go 1 to all skills, and then you say, okay, I can't afford it. So then you go spirit. What is it? Is it flat spirit or is it percent spirit? It's flat spirit. Okay, let's say you go 1 and 40 spirit. Is this a thing? There's one of them. Got 47 spirit. It's got energy shield. It has rarity on it. This is not bad. Not bad at all. Okay? This is a little demo. Not too hard to use the trade site once you're a little bit more familiar with it. Here's the Atlas tree. I keep changing my mind on it, but there's a basic thing to understand about the endgame Atlas tree. Everything is about getting more maps. The biggest challenge that you will have is sustaining your maps and keep getting good maps and keep getting higher maps. So this tree is essentially just there to optimize that. So I think it's here first every time. It's here first every time for just 20% more quantity of waystones. And then I think one of the best ways to actually increase your waystones other than literally picking up these quantities is going for this. Because one thing that you will notice in Path of Exile 2 is the rares in your maps and the uniques and the bosses, they are going to give you by far the best loot, like by a lot. So you say, why do you take this and make them even deadlier? Adding 2 mods to your rare, your uniques makes them deadlier, but also makes them drop even better loot. So I think this is one of the key ways to pump your sustain. Local knowledge is very strong for target farming. People love this. We got to go pick that up. This node is also very strong in giving us more effects of our modifiers. And then finally, picking up the precursors, the things that you put in your towers to further buff all your maps is a good idea. Honestly, all the nodes are pretty good. I keep changing my mind a little bit on this passive tree, Atlas tree. But that's what I did. That should work very, very well for you. Okay, what can we cover next? The skill rotations. I told you it was a 1-button build. Spam Flame Wall 99% of the time. That's all you do. You do nothing else. If you fight a really tough boss, drop your Pain Offering, buy your minions, which is kind of in the back, curse the boss with Flammability, and then go back to spamming Flame Wall. The Arsonists do have an active. I haven't found that it's really that important to use. I think you just get away with spamming Flame Wall. If you go with the snipers later on, then you will want to use their active for the gas clouds. Strengths and weaknesses. It's a 1-button build. It has God tier defense. You aim nothing, except for, I guess, the curse. Screen wide damage, and it's really pretty. It's been pretty damn good on the bosses for me. I haven't had any problems. It's a little bit slow. It's not as fast as the Ranger. I also don't think it's as fast as the Monk, because the Monk has the dash. The damage takes a little bit of time. The Skelly's got to arrive. They're stupid. They get stuck in corridors. They get stuck in doors. Typical minion problems. Okay. Now let's go to the passive tree. As always, I have started the passive tree exactly where the end leveling guide ended. So it should be exactly what we're doing right here. So the great news here is I really like the path that we already took. There's not a whole lot of respecking here. In fact, there's barely any. I don't think you need some of these nodes like the accuracy, your minions revive faster, or these random damage nodes. One thing that we need to do is we need to lock in your survivability. I spend almost every point in the endgame getting survivability on this build. I did the exact opposite with every other build that I made. All I did was stack damage. But here, the minions do a lot of damage. A lot of it is based on your gear. A lot of it is based on your skill levels, which will just get better over time. So if we put this whole tree into us surviving, I mean, you can pretty much become borderline invincible. So the first thing I'm going to do is you saw me take out a bunch of these points right here and take out these 2 points right here. I think that's the only thing that I respect. Now, when I played this, the most challenging thing for me in the beginning was having the stats to use my skills. You need a ton of it, and I actually didn't have enough of it. So there are some notables here that are very strong that also give us int, which is exactly why I'm going to recommend that you path there first. So the very first thing that I did is I took mind over matter. Now there's a lot of people were telling me they did this a bunch of different ways. Some people took chaos inoculation, which would have been pretty fine for me. I could have went that route. But the reason why I just went mind over matter is, first of all, I'm already here, and you are not starved for mana at all. Your mana pool is just kind of sitting there doing nothing, especially if you get the inspiration on your flame wall. You're just sitting at full mana. You don't have to really do anything. So you might as well let them damage your mana before your life. And I found this to be very strong right away. So now we're going to do everything that we can to get your intelligence high enough so you can actually wear your gear. So the first thing I do is I go for this notable, not because it's the greatest notable in the whole tree, but because it gives you 6% increased intelligence. That's going to help you a lot. Then, again, not because it's the best possible thing, I walked all the way over here to get this 25 int. And then I was able to wear everything that I had. And while I was here, I was able to pick up this lovely node. 60% increased maximum energy shield. We're going to keep stacking it with the energy shield on your gear. And this is why nothing can kill you. And then from here, I mean, I can actually just summarize it in one simple way. I just almost completely load up on defense. So I'm going to go down here and grab this more energy shield. I'm going to go down here and grab more energy shield and more intelligence. Again, trying to give you the stats that you need. I really like picking up the mana regen here because, first of all, they're damaging your mana all the time, and you took this big penalty. This kind of negates that penalty. Also, it lets you refund a couple of points. So I refunded a bunch of points right here that I didn't need, including 8% damage, so I can walk around and get a bunch more stuff. So you spend a couple to refund a couple seems very strong to negate the mana regen. Remember, mana regen for you is essentially now life regen. Might as well pick this up right here. 40% increased energy shield for 10 mana. We'll take that. That's a good trade. And we're already right there. We'll pick up the 20 mana, the max mana. And then we're going to go over here for our little friends, the block nodes. Block, 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 block. Block is really, really good. So first of all, they have to chew through your energy shield. And then they have to chew through your mana. And then they have to get past your minions. And somehow if they get all through all of that, you have all of this block and you have this anoint over here. Where is it? Right here. You have so much block that how are they going to kill you? They didn't kill me one time. Now, you're going to ask 2 questions, though. When you're already here, should you get this? I don't think the damage applies to your minions. Damage for you doesn't do anything. So I don't think this helps us at all. This is a tempting node, but when I took this at 60% more energy shield from the body armor, it actually didn't give me that big of a boost, and people are saying there's something wrong with it and there's a bug. That's exactly why I did not take those nodes. Maybe one day they'll be good, but I actually think it's a little bit of a debate. There's a really, really nice energy shield node right here. I'm just doing everything to survive. And then finally, at this point, I started taking more damage. I think if you get this far, which is like the super end game, then you can finally take the rest of the damage nodes. And that should pretty much round it up there. So when you do your Ascendancy, the third one, which should be pretty easy for you, you're going to take this. It's going to reserve 25% of your life to give you a bunch more spirit. We just get more minions. That's godly. Then when you do the 4th lab, you're going to do it again. And this time it's going to give you a huge boost to your energy shield. And that's going to be massive synergy, of course, with the entire tree. And hopefully that makes perfect sense on why this build, again, I've cleared T17 with level 6 Delirium. No, not a single death. / deaths, you have died 0 times. And I'm level 88. I am 100% sure. I'm absolutely certain this build will fry for you, and you can clear very, very, very far into the end game. You can see how far we've done a lot of exploring here, just maps and maps and maps and maps and maps and maps and maps. Really, really was never challenged at all. Very, very easy. And remember, one super cutie patootie thing. You see I have 3,800 energy shield. Remember, Grim Feast is going to double it for you. They're going to Jay Wilson it, and then they doubled it for over 7,000 energy shield. It feels good to be an Infernalist Witch. I'm going to be working on a lot more guides, guys. I'm going to go back to the Sorceress on Christmas Day. I'm going to be working on it. We're going to make a really powerful Sorceress. I have no ideas. I don't know what I'm going to do, one way or the other. And then probably make a bunch of endgame guides, crafting guides, trading guides, a much more in-depth for you so you can understand everything. And then we have to do the 2 classes we haven't done. We got to do Mercenary and we have to do Warrior. People say that when I do Warrior, I'm not going to be able to get it done. I have a feeling that's not true. I have a feeling we'll figure it out one way or another. Anyway, hope you guys have a very Merry Christmas. Thank you for being here. I really genuinely appreciate you guys. Thanks for all that you've done for me. And a lot more guides are coming. Thank you.